So you announced that you were taking a step back from chess.com commentary following freestyle. So I think that's a great transition into the topic of Freestyle 960, Fischer random.
All right.
Weissenhaus.
Yeah.
My knight's on A1, and why can't it be on B1?
Yes.
Why two bishops cannot be on the same color?
Yeah.
Unfiltered,
Get
Danya.
the hot sauce out.
Let's go.
I mean, people who watch my stream, they know that. Like, I used to call myself a Fischer random hater. This is way back when. So I want to make it very clear, first of all, like, I respect the concept of Fischer random. I think that the idea that, like, you know, there exists a variant in which everyone's clueless from move one, it can legitimately, it has its moments. I feel like it's not a subjective matter, that there is an elegance and a beauty, a symmetry to chess that stems from the 960th arrangement of the pieces. So, you know, I'm no longer a Fischer random hater, but I'm like the crotchety coach who's like, you know, I want to point out a few things that, like, I want to bring you back to reality. There's a few issues that I have with freestyle chess, starting with its name, the fact that you don't even know how to refer to it, because freestyle is also a company. There's a weird kind of sweeping under the rug of what might be the main problem here, which is that right now, as it stands, freestyle is benefiting the top players, right? 27, 30 and above. Fantastic, amazing. I think everybody in the chess community is very happy for all of these players. The thing is, yes, I'm happy for the top players, but at the same time, let's not pretend that there's a trickle down effect. That seems to be the implication that, okay, the riches will trickle down to the masses. Like, your average 1700 is not going to definitely not benefit from freestyle. And one of the big reasons why, I think Alexander Shimanov made this point, how do you develop training materials specifically for Fischer random? It's impossible. Mm-hmm. Like, in order to become good at 960, you have to essentially just like study chess. And then there's like some sort of relationship where, of course, like, it's not unrelated. If you're a GM at regular chess, you're going to be good at Fischer random for the most part. But it's not a one-to-one relationship either.
Like, I was just thinking, Emily, like, you were literally that potential clientele that freestyle would be trying to reach to, right? Like, you were like as an up-and-coming chess player, but like, how do you not get lost into it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that exploring variants is really in my best interest when I'm trying to just like improve at the regular game, which is what like is readily available, you know, in tournaments and
it's right answer, Emily. You're allowed to continue now. My students, like, I work with a couple of very talented kids. I had a lesson in Weissenhaus where, as a warm-up, I gave a few positions from freestyle, and I spent like 20 minutes explaining how to castle, like, to one of my students. He's 2100, like, and he was like, he's like, wait, can I castle kingside? And I suddenly couldn't remember, because there's arrangements where, like, if your rooks are on F1 and G1, like, I actually don't know which way you can castle with what rook. Like, for example, if the rooks are on, get your Advil ready.
Yeah.
If the rooks are like on E1 and H1.
Wow.
To castle, and even saying castle kingside, castle queenside, that was a big problem during commentary. I was saying castles to the east, castles to the west.
Yeah.
Even explaining the rules takes some time. Referring to castles is difficult because the king side can be the queen side. Like, there's no names for openings. And this, to me, is a really important point. People always assume that the prevalence of opening theory is a negative, right? That, another Italian, another Berlin, like another 30 moves of theory. First of all, let's not exaggerate. In the World Championship, even, like Gukesh Dang, most of the games were in fresh territory by like move 7. There has been a trend of moving out of opening theory into fresh territory. Look at the AlphaZero Stockfish games. There's so much to explore. But the main thing is, from a commentary perspective, when there's a Sicilian Najdorf, I'm able to look up the games. Boom, I see that in 1913, Miguel Najdorf played a game against Akiba Rubinstein. And by the way, Akiba Rubinstein like owned a pizza restaurant. He didn't. And like one time, Alexander Alekhine ate at that pizza restaurant. This, to me, is what makes the broadcast interesting to like my mom or my high school friend. It's like, I was watching you talk about like frickin' pizza toppings. Like, weren't you commentating a chess tournament? So there was an article that has an interview with the Take CEO. Now Magnus is involved both in Take and Freestyle. And I think it represents, like, perfectly represents a perspective that I think is like a straw man. It's what I would call, I think, a zombie lie is a good phrase I've heard. Just something that used to be maybe true, but isn't anymore, and yet it's still like repeated by people. Again, with respect, Mr. Christensen, he's the CEO. He says the following. I'm reading from an article from .esports. Viewing chess from a new angle is the subheading. Okay, so he says, Christensen, there are basic rules of chess that everyone understands. Christensen says, moving the conversation beyond the controversial evaluation bar. You want to capture pieces, promote your pawns, etc. Perfectly valid options for a less experienced audience. The bigger part is the commentary. Christensen is dismissive of the traditional approach, saying, quote, they're basically explaining chess from a grandmaster to a grandmaster, suggesting an example where they wouldn't discuss a player possibly winning a piece because they know the opponent wouldn't blunder the relevant move. Quote, you can make it more exciting by saying, will Magnus hang his queen now? We take great pains, I think, to make the commentary educational first and foremost. Now, yes, if you have just learned the rules of chess yesterday, it's maybe like there's nothing that we could do. And even then, like, we try to tell stories and stuff. That's where you make those people feel welcome. But saying that Magnus might blunder a queen, like, I can never bring myself to do that. Or, you know I talked about this on stream, not using chess notation. So instead of knight d2, the horsey, like, crosses the Cape of Good Hope, moving past, flowing down the Mississippi River, and, shifting his weight toward the geographic center of the board. Or I could say knight d2 because people can suck it up and learn the chess coordinate system, which is just a coordinate system, right? It's just a graph. So
you're laughing, but that's like the motto of Take, 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 the new
freestyle, yeah, or
Take, Take, Take. I remember when they appeared first before freestyle, that was their motto. Like, they're building this new app, new way of following chess players, chess game. I think as far as I understood, the business idea behind is for it to develop a fantasy game, right? Mm-hmm. And they specifically want to re-educate the chess kind of like commentary world and the broadcasting of chess games as of do not refer to the notation. That was their first video when they released it, remember?
Yeah, this like idea of traditional commentary. Can you name someone who commentates like that? Like, that would be a grandmaster, like, all we do is rattle off lines. Like, I'm sorry, but like, in order to build something new, you have to respect and understand what exists. Like, before you take down the system, you have to ask yourself, maybe the existing system isn't as shitty as I think it is. And I don't think it's the right approach to pretend like there's nobody who's mastered the art of appealing to a wide variety of audiences. Is there an issue with, like, sometimes going overboard? Is there a need to incorporate a bigger, let's say, cross-section? Absolutely. And I think freestyle is offering really interesting, innovative ideas, graphics. They're pushing the conversation forward, and I give them credit for that. But I think that this like emphasis on making it accessible, it's like lost its meaning because it's become so general. It's become like a chant. But in terms of like the future of chess, I think maybe even the biggest problem is the lack of a rating, which creates an immediate lack of motivation.
The lack of rating.
Can I expand on that, or am I?
Yeah, you mean for the freestyle, that there is no rating.
So I brought this up on stream and people like react like, whoa, the freestyle tournaments are not rated.
Yes.
There's no Fischer random rating and never has been. B, like, there is no internal rating. And I made the point that, like, as long as there's no rating, first of all, the players would be like, this is paradise. I get to play unrated events. And if I win, I get tons of money. Of course, they're going to like want this to continue, as they should. And they're going to focus on this. But people don't understand that at the top level, the players do well for themselves. Yes, 200K is really nice. Even for them, it's a lot of money. But what really motivates them is rating, classical rating. Right?
And they're getting invited by the classical rating. That's to the Fischer random events.
Yeah, like Fabiano mentioned that what is FIDE's greatest, like what makes FIDE, gives it the imprimatur of authority. What does FIDE bring to the table? There's two big things. World Championship title, right, has a tremendous amount of prestige associated with it universally because it has a history, right? That cannot be bought. That cannot be like created in any other way than through 80 years of history. And people might not realize this, but FIDE was created by players.
Yeah,
right?
by a grandmaster, Lasker, right? No.
Ava. By a former world champion, right?
Yeah.
And before FIDE, it's fascinating to read the correspondence between Lasker and Capablanca, Steinitz and Zukertort. They all got into fights because the players themselves had to find sponsors and organize their own world championship match. Right? Do we want that? Well, World Championship now is also a controversial word.
Yeah, although there was also Kasparov and him organizing his own World Championship, but yeah.
So there's a lot of history of that.
Yeah.
What is the point I'm trying to make? There is a second thing that people forget, which is rating. Right? FIDE rating has remained unbelievably robust as a fairly accurate reflection of your strength for 50 plus years now. Is there rating inflation? Absolutely. Is like, there's 1600 who just destroys me. Like, and I get paired in round one with a kid and I know I'm like the underdog. Absolutely. Like, especially in Charlotte, like there's kids in the US and some countries, there's kids who are like 1800 FIDE and their rating hasn't caught up to them.
Oh, totally. The kid that was playing the last round of Spring Open. Tommy Kozlik.
Oh, Kozlik, yeah.
Kozlik.
He's so adorable, yeah.
Yeah, he's like a 9-year-old who's like, you can see the kid, he just sacrificed an exchange in a second. Yeah, and he's like a 1600.
Oh.
But like he's like, I think his skill is like at least 2200
So
maybe.
talented.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be like, just whoever's watching, hear me out. Tommy Kozlik is gonna be a future world champion.
By and
Was he born
large, it's
to
not like there's people who are 2750 who suck.
Yeah.
Or like it's remained robust. And so it has remained the single biggest motivator. Like, why am I nervous before an OTB classical game? It's because I'm afraid to lose rating, right? Why am I afraid to play in a tournament? Because I'm going to play 5 Tommy Kozleks and I'm going to be his rating and he's going to be my rating at the end of the tournament. So the problem is, literally when you're commentating freestyle tournament in Waisenhaus, we're using FIDE ratings in the broadcast.
Yeah.
And you got to see the irony in that a little bit, right? Like,
yeah, with all the fight for the world
you're helping
championship
yourself
title
to things that FIDE developed while simultaneously claiming that the reasons for its existence are questionable. So I feel like the ideal would be if like there was some agreement where like, let's say freestyle tournaments were half rated, half classical rated. That would be interesting. And let me tell you, people would be a lot less chill about the Grand Tour events. There wouldn't be such a line out the door to play.
Yeah, would Magnus be so excited to play with Vladimir Fedosiev or?
Yeah, like for Magnus, he doesn't have to work on his opening. He doesn't have to put his legacy, in question, nor should he. His legacy is unquestionable. So like if he would retire, nobody would hold it against him. But he's found a way to like now continue to play chess. Listen, I haven't seen Magnus play a single game of casual freestyle chess. Like if you seek a freestyle game or 960 game on chess.com, you might get Ding Liren, who's like 1500 right now, after like 15 minutes of waiting. It hasn't caught on yet. And there's a lot of issues, but the rating, it's a big part of it. Like the quality of play is lower because these tournaments aren't rated. It just is, right? There's more blunders because the players will be all smiles at dinner. And I'm not saying that that's a problem, like it's your choice, but I can guarantee you that if freestyle events were classical FIDE rated, there would be a lot more intensity and preparation going on.
Regarding the preparation though, I mean, how do you prepare for a freestyle match?
Well, I feel like there would be, I don't think you can prepare for a freestyle match if you don't know the position. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there are ways to train freestyle at the highest level. Mm-hmm. Like I can already see, like the person that I've talked to the most about this is Fedosiev. There are rules and principles that you can develop for sets of positions. Like if any position with like the knight on A1 and the bishop next to the knight, there's like certain maneuvers that you can carry out regardless of where the other pieces are. This is like mind-bogglingly complicated, right? These are like, you're developing principles, right? Like control the center. In freestyle, like sometimes you control the center, sometimes it's a terrible idea to control the center. Mm. Bring out your knights before your bishops. Totally doesn't apply.
Yeah, nothing applies. You really kind of need to recognize those patterns that you would know by your already existing chess culture.
Right. So more of a reason why like someone who's trying to improve at like me, like an improver at like the regular game of chess, mm-hmm. it would almost be disadvantageous to spend time trying to play freestyle because it's sort of going like against what you've been trying to learn, right?
It would confuse the out of you.
I can only go based on my experience. I'm not a hater because I have an agenda. all of my students,
Let me be a hater.
the young students, they can't stomach it. Like they just,
And they're 2100, your young students.
younger, like kids have a hard time with the like visualization. It is objectively much harder to make freestyle chess accessible to beginners. And all of this can be true and the tour can continue, and I will do what I can to help the project move toward a successful state, right? Like I'm not saying I won't ever commentate. I am a friend of the company. I wanted Freestyle to know this when I was leaving Wise and House. I am not standing in their way. I just think that because like I feel like we need to be honest about the limitations. And we need to be honest about its place, because when we create these like, again, these shibboleths like, oh, freestyle is the future of chess. I can't listen to this as someone who's been in chess for 20 years and take it seriously if we're going to just like, the first thing we're saying is clear bullshit and everybody has to like eat it. For what? Like, I'm not benefiting from it, so I don't give a shit. I'm going to be honest, okay?
Haven't they like promised that their investors, they're going to 10x their money and they're going to make it as a business model?
Well, I think Jan Henrik, he wants this to be a profitable company eventually. And listen, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that the man has given a lot of money to like, in many ways set the standard for what an organization should look like, organization of a tournament should look like.
Like in chess.
Like in chess, fair play is taken very seriously. There are positive aspects, and when somebody does this, it moves the standards forward. But he is not doing this out of philanthropy, and that's, you know, he's had the first person to say that. When I hear like they want to 10x their investment, but first question I have is, what is the product?
Yeah,
what are people paying for? Like, how do you make money off of this? I assume it's because you attract sponsors, but like that's not a new business model. Like I just don't see how it's going to work unless there's some hidden component that is added in. Like the vision has to be more cohesive, and it has to be one step at a time. First, we need to run a successful broadcast. We need to work out the kinks. Then we start worrying about attracting sponsors. I feel like there's too much all at once. At the same time, I'm excited for Paris. I mean, Hans is going to be playing.